Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up because what I'm about to reveal will completely shift the way you understand relationships and attraction. I promise this is not what you've been told in movies, dating apps, or by your friends. Listen closely. The more available you are to her, emotionally, physically, even in your messages, the less she actually wants you. It sounds counterintuitive, right? But it's a truth buried deep in female psychology, and most men never see it coming. Availability in her mind can feel like predictability, like a safety net she doesn't have to fight for. And when she doesn't have to fight for you, desire begins to fade. Think about it. How often have you texted her first, dropped everything when she called, or rearranged your schedule to see her? At first, she might feel grateful, flattered even, but deep down, her subconscious mind starts seeing you as replaceable. The chase, the uncertainty, the feeling that she has to earn your attention. Those are the sparks that ignite attraction. Once you remove that friction, once you remove yourself as a scarce resource, something subtle happens. Her emotional fire cools, often without her even realizing it. This isn't about playing games or being manipulative. It's about understanding the primal wiring of attraction. Women are drawn to confidence, independence, and scarcity, not desperation or constant accessibility. Availability is a double-edged sword. It signals kindness and reliability, yes, but also predictability and lack of challenge. And challenge, psychologically, is deeply magnetic. So, if you've ever found yourself wondering why she suddenly seems distant, despite being the most attentive, kind, and present partner she's ever had, this is why. You've unknowingly removed the tension, the pull, the thrill that keeps desire alive. Attraction isn't about what you do for her. It's about the energy you carry when you maintain your own life, your own boundaries, your own value. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly how to balance availability with scarcity, so she craves your attention rather than takes it for granted. You'll see why the men who are least available often become the most desired. And once you internalize this, your approach to dating, texting, and showing up in her life will shift completely, powerfully, effortlessly, and attractively. Let's dig deeper into why this happens. Why the moment you make yourself completely available, her interest starts to fade like a flame that's run out of oxygen. You see, attraction isn't built in logic. It's emotional, instinctive, and ancient. Long before modern dating apps and text messages, attraction was a survival mechanism. Women were wired to desire the man who had options, who had purpose, who was in motion, not the man waiting around for her attention. When you become too available, she stops feeling that spark of curiosity and uncertainty that fuels attraction. She knows exactly where you are, what you'll say, how you'll react. And predictability, to the female mind, is emotional death. Let me paint a picture. Imagine two men. One always replies instantly, cancels plans to see her, constantly reassures her. The other moves with purpose, takes time to respond, and never loses focus on his goals. Who do you think she's more drawn to over time? The first man gives her comfort, but not desire. The second, he gives her curiosity, respect, and emotional stimulation. His attention feels like a reward, not a guarantee, and that's exactly what sparks attraction. It's not that she doesn't appreciate kindness or loyalty, she does. But when your world begins to orbit around her, she senses it. And subconsciously, she feels your self-worth shifting away from your mission toward her approval. That change in energy is what makes her pull away. She feels your availability as pressure, as emotional weight, even if you're not saying a word. Now here's the uncomfortable truth most men don't want to hear. Women test your availability not to hurt you, but to measure you. They test to see if your emotions are grounded, if your purpose is intact, if your confidence holds steady, even when they withdraw affection. It's instinctual. The moment you overinvest to win her back, you fail that test, because you've shown that her validation has more power than your own center of gravity. What she truly wants, deep down, is a man who can love her without losing himself. A man who can give her attention without giving up his focus. The paradox is this: the less she feels she completely has you, the more she wants you. The moment she knows she can have you at any time, she begins to lose the emotional hunger that fuels desire. Now let's talk about balance. How to keep her emotionally engaged without becoming distant or cold. Because true attraction isn't about ignoring her or playing hard to get. It's about living in your masculine energy with clarity, self-respect, and direction. The men who understand this walk a fine line. They show care, but they never chase. They make space for her, but they never abandon themselves. That's the secret most men miss. Not less love, but more discipline in how it's expressed. When you make yourself too available, you send a hidden message. My world revolves around you. But when you live with purpose, when your time and attention are earned, not freely given, you send a very different message. My world is full, and you're a part of it, not the center of it. That distinction changes everything. Women feel it instantly. Your presence feels heavier, more valuable, more real. You're no longer another man offering his time. You're the man she has to qualify for. Think of it this way: scarcity breeds value. The reason gold is desired isn't just because it shines, it's because it's rare. Your availability works the same way. If every message you send is instant, if every plan she makes gets your yes, you've removed all emotional scarcity. She can predict your moves, your reactions, your rhythm. That predictability kills curiosity. And once curiosity dies, emotional investment follows. So, how do you fix it? You don't pull away out of anger. You pull back into yourself. Rebuild your focus on the things that make you powerful, your goals, your health, your growth, your discipline. When she sees you engaged with your own life, something inside her wakes up. She starts to feel your energy shift, less needy, more grounded. That's when attraction reignites, because now she's reminded that she could lose you. And that possibility, the thought of losing a man who stands in his own power, is what flips the emotional switch inside her. You don't have to announce it, you don't have to prove it, you simply live it. When you set boundaries and stay consistent, your silence starts to speak louder than any words ever could. You become unpredictable again, not because you're playing games, but because you're focused on your path. And a man on his path is never fully available, and that's exactly why he's irresistible. Here's what happens inside her mind the moment you stop being overly available. It's psychological, it's emotional, and it's primal. When you pull your energy back into yourself, she feels it instantly. Even before you say a word, she senses something's different. The rhythm of your communication changes. You're not texting as often. You're not waiting for her responses. You're not seeking reassurance. And that sudden shift triggers curiosity, the very emotion that reignites her attraction. She starts wondering, why does he feel different? Did something change? Did I lose my influence over him? That uncertainty is the birthplace of renewed desire. See, women aren't attracted to the man who constantly proves his love. They're drawn to the man whose presence feels like a privilege. When you become slightly unpredictable, not out of manipulation but from living a full life, you awaken something deeper in her subconscious: respect. Respect always precedes attraction. When she respects your boundaries, your time, your silence, she starts valuing your presence again. It's not about ignoring her. It's about reminding her that your attention is earned, not owed. You have to understand that women feel emotions in layers. At first, she might act irritated or distant when you stop being as available. She might even test you harder just to see if your change is real. But beneath that surface reaction is something powerful: intrigue. She starts paying attention again. She starts investing emotionally again. Her imagination gets involved, and that's where attraction lives. Because the moment she has to wonder, the moment she doesn't fully know what you're thinking or feeling, her mind begins to chase clarity. And in chasing clarity, she's chasing you. This is the paradox of masculine energy. The less you explain, the more she feels. The more silent you are about your emotions, the louder your energy speaks. When you're calm, steady, and selective with your time, you project strength without even trying. That emotional restraint doesn't make you distant. It makes you magnetic. You become the man she can't fully figure out. And that mystery, that balance of warmth and independence, is the exact emotional tension that keeps attraction alive indefinitely. So when you stop over-explaining, stop over-texting, stop over-giving, you're not losing her. You're giving her something to miss. You're giving her space to feel your absence. And absence, when paired with respect, creates desire stronger than any words ever could. Now that you understand what happens in her mind when you stop being overly available, let's talk about how to sustain this energy, how to stay in control of your presence without slipping into emotional games. Because real power in a man isn't about manipulation. It's about stability. It's about being so grounded in who you are that her mood, her attention, her words can't shake your foundation. See, emotional availability doesn't mean constant access. It means intentional access. You choose when and how you give your time, your attention, your affection. You're not cold, you're controlled. You're not distant, you're deliberate. Women don't fall for men who are emotionally shut down. They fall for men who are emotionally selective, men who feel deeply but express it with discernment. That's the difference between being needy and being needed. When you stop being overly available, something else begins to change. Your energy becomes more masculine, more self-contained. You stop seeking validation and start radiating self-trust. You don't chase, you attract. You don't beg for attention. You command it through calmness, purpose, and presence. And when a woman feels that, when she senses that your happiness doesn't depend on her, her respect for you deepens. Because deep down, every woman craves to feel the weight of a man who doesn't need her, but chooses her. To sustain this, you have to build a life so full that your emotional energy isn't sitting idle, waiting for someone else to activate it. Fill your days with progress, fitness, purpose, work, learning, solitude. When your energy has direction, your relationships start to orbit naturally around that movement. She feels pulled into your world instead of you orbiting around hers. And that's what creates emotional gravity. But here's the catch. Once you step into that energy, you must stay consistent. Because inconsistency kills attraction faster than availability ever did. Don't pretend to be busy. Be busy. Don't act confident. Become confident. When your behavior matches your energy, she stops doubting your value and starts desiring your presence. So the goal isn't to make her chase you, it's to make her respect you. Respect that you have a life, that your attention is sacred, that your peace is earned. Because once she respects that, she'll crave your time in ways she never did before, not out of habit, but out of admiration. This is where everything comes full circle. The moment you realize that being less available isn't about withholding love, it's about reclaiming your power. Because when you're always available, when you make yourself constantly accessible, you send a silent message that your time, your energy, your emotional space are for anyone to take. But when you reclaim that energy, when you decide that not everyone gets full access to you, you transform from a man who seeks validation to a man who commands it. And that shift is magnetic. Here's the truth. Attraction isn't sustained by constant presence. It's sustained by emotional polarity. She needs to feel your warmth, but she also needs to feel your independence. If you give her only one, if you're either too distant or too clingy, she'll lose her balance. But when you master both, when you're loving and grounded, connected and focused, she'll feel something rare, safety and excitement at the same time. That's the emotional combination women crave but rarely find. You have to understand that mystery and distance aren't games, they're space. Space for her to feel your absence, space for her to reflect on your value, space for her emotions to breathe and grow. Constant availability suffocates that space. It's like never letting a song end. She stops listening. But when you pull back just enough, when you give her time to miss your voice, your presence, your energy, her emotions start to amplify. She begins to want you again. Not because she needs reassurance, but because she feels the contrast between your presence and your absence. So, if you're the man who's always texting first, always checking in, always waiting for her to respond, pause. Don't disappear. Just redirect that energy back into yourself. Let her see that your world continues to move, that you are a man with purpose, discipline, and emotional restraint. That's what makes you different from the rest. You're not just available, you're intentional. And that kind of man doesn't chase validation, he inspires it. The more you live this truth, the more naturally she will lean toward you. Not because you're distant, but because your energy reminds her of something every woman wants. A man who values himself deeply enough not to be available to everyone. That's when attraction becomes effortless, when connection becomes real, and when you finally stop trying to be wanted and start being chosen.